Voters in France are about to head to the polls for the first round of its presidential election. The race remains up for grabs and tightening polls. But one wild card that could have an impact, a big impact, the terror attack in Paris earlier this week. Our Greg Palkot is live in Paris with the very latest. Greg, what can you tell us on this?
Kelly, it is a wild election. Voters go to the polls tomorrow. It is called important and also unpredictable. A lot of people watching, including those in the United States. They'll be choosing between 11 different candidates. The two top vote getters will then go on to a runoff in 2 weeks' time. Among the candidates, yes, center-right party candidate Francois Fillon, he's established. But you've got Emmanuel Macron, he's an independent moderate. You've got firebrand right-wing populist Marine Le Pen. She is an outsider, as well as Jean-Luc Mélenchon. He's a far left-wing guy, but it shows how unsettled and how unhappy the population is here, both about the status quo, about a stagnant economy, and also concerned about insecurity. That was underscored by that attack on Thursday on police officers. One officer killed, 2 injured. ISIS claiming responsibility. The government here treating it as terrorism, and we learned that this guy that was killed, responsible for it, was watched by the government as a terrorist, but somehow fell through the cracks. Now, the big reason why the government is beefing up security here is that attack. There's something like 50,000 police officers, other security officials will be watching the polling stations tomorrow. They absolutely don't want a replay of what we saw here in the heart of Paris on Thursday. The campaigning is over, but the candidates made final statements, and some of them reflecting that attack. We heard from Le Pen. She was saying that she wanted the expulsion of all terrorist suspects, tightening up the borders. But again, there is concerns not just on an international front, but a domestic front here. And you've got a very unsettled, very unhappy populace. 1/3, it is thought, still have not decided who they are going to vote for tomorrow. Take a listen to a few people we talked to today.
What do you think?
About your presidential election.
It's a mess.
No matter who the president will be, 80% of the population wouldn't vote for this person.
It's not very clear.
But we
are afraid a little.
Probably the most unfavorable result that U.S. analysts are thinking about is that if the French choose their next president and he or she wants to pull the country out of NATO, or wants to pull the country out of the European Union, or want to do both. Now, that is highly unlikely, but in this election season, Kelly, anything is possible.
Well, you know, Greg, you hit the nail on the head right there, and we were listening to the comments, and you could hear the same things: uncertainty, fear. Marine Le Pen says she wants to hold a referendum on leaving the European Union. How might that impact the European Union as well as France, or globally?
Yeah, it's big stuff, Kelly. It is seen as yet another referendum on the European Union here. She's been calling first for France just to completely get out of the EU and stop using the euro currency. And then she talked about holding a referendum about that in France and acting on that. And then she talked about negotiating. So she's sort of playing all sides of the coin on this one. There is concern here in France about the European Union, as there are in a lot of different places, and its impact on the economy. Again, the economy very stagnant, but France, one of the founding, perhaps the founding country for the European Union, and there still is sentiment in favor of it. But again, it's another litmus test on both the EU and on the way Western countries operate. And as you heard from the people, and you heard what I'm talking about, this is wide open and a real concern for everybody who has something at stake here in these economies. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Greg Palkot. That election is going to have a global impact depending on the outcome.